So now we're going to continue looking at bottom positions in Jiu Jitsu, but we're going to move from the positions we've just covered, which are essentially defensive positions, positions where you're in trouble, towards more neutral positions or more offensive positions. So one of the main attractions with Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is that you have the opportunity to be strong in positions that would look weak, right? So even though you're on your back, even though you're on the floor, even though you're underneath your opponent, you actually can have an advantage in certain situations. So let's just cover quickly. If I'm in a situation like this where I'm on top of my opponent, I'm past his legs, I've passed his guard, right? I'm now in a dominant position here, I'm in mount, could be the same. In side control here, again, I'm past his legs here. Normally, my partner would be a bit more active, but we're doing best we can. Now, if I'm in this situation here, right, notice I'm still on top of my opponent. We're still roughly in the same position. He's laying on his back, right, and I'm still on my knees on top. But the difference being in this situation is that now he has his legs wrapped around my hips. Right now, not so much wrapped, it's just placed here, but looking to either lock his legs up in what would be known as the closed guard here, or alternatively, he could have his feet more active, resting on my hips, pushing on my arms, my body, anywhere else. Right? He also now has the opportunity to use his arms, get his arms involved, where if he started reaching up towards me now, right, I might be able to grab his arms, but I can't directly go to an arm lock or attack here because his legs are still in the way. Same if I try and choke him, I could reach forward, try and choke him, and that is possible. There are ways you can attack the neck from closed guard, but as a beginner, as a white belt, unless you have experience, unless you know what you're doing, it's generally a really, really big mistake to go straight for the neck, because what's going to happen is, as I reach forwards here, now I have to extend my arm away, right, from my body. Right. If I'm on top, in mount, and he starts reaching for my collar, trying to choke me, trying to attack me here, it's the opposite effect. He's bringing his arm away from his body here. His legs aren't able to prevent me moving forwards, so I can move directly into my arm locks, into my attacks here. If I go for his neck from here, right, my arm can stay close to my body, and also he can't use his legs to attack me or to counter-attack me. From this closed guard position here, right, you can see dummies coming apart. You can see here, if I do what I was doing before, reaching for the arms, I can't come into armbar position because his legs are blocking me. And if I reach for his neck, now I'm extending away my arm away from my body, which then gives him the opportunity to start attacking me. He can use his feet on his hips here, create space, throw his legs over, start looking for arm bars, right? If I start looking for his arms, same thing. I have to extend forward, he could push me away, and that opens up attacks for him, right? So we're going to look at the closed guard position here for him on the bottom. Now, it's a strong position in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. In fact, it's much better for him on the bottom than it is for me. My job would be to get away. For him on the bottom, he's got a lot of advantages. This is actually a much more offensive position in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. It's a great place to be. Like in MMA or a self-defense situation, he still has a lot of attacks, but he's limited because you wouldn't be wearing a gi, there's less material for him to grab, less control for him. And also, more importantly, I have the ability to strike. So even though he has techniques that he can use, submissions and sweeps from the bottom position, from his guard position, I can still punch him in the face, drop elbows, changes the game massively. So in MMA, not a great spot, even though you have things to do that you can use to attack or get out of this position. In Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, very, very strong position, very, very bad for me. But generally speaking, this is a much more even position. We both sort of have advantages. I have gravity, I have top position. He has leverage, and also you'll notice now he has his whole body kind of wrapped around my upper body only. So he's actually got more control than me. Actually, if you look at this position here, legs are wrapped around the hips, arms available here. If I roll to my back, you'll see same position. Right? We kept the same position here, but now his legs are around my hips, his arms are available, and we're in this full mount position here. If I turn and roll on top, same position here. Legs now around my hips, arms up. So in essence, he's still in this kind of mount position. His whole body is focused against my upper body, only he doesn't have the advantage of gravity. Right? So let's have a look at what he needs to be thinking about, what I need to be thinking about if I'm on bottom in this closed guard position here. So my opponent's kneeling here, which is where I'll be able to use his closed guard, and I'm on my back, my legs closed around his belt line, around his hips here. I don't want him low around his legs here, so I don't have the same level of control. I want to be secure in the position, locking at the ankles here. This is not a death grip. I'm not trying to squeeze as hard as I can, but I want to be able to pull him in, push him away. I have my legs locked, so I have a 360-degree area of control around his hips. Very hard for him to back away, move up. I can control him here. Even if he's trying to strike, I can make him miss, and I can control here. Right. Generally speaking, what I'm looking to do is control. So my legs are locked in place, so I don't need to worry about that. So I need to start thinking about using my arms and my grips here to control. The more control I have over my opponent, the more things I can do to him. Right? So here I can control an arm, adjust the angle here, attack arm locks. I can control an arm, push it through, attack submissions, like a triangle here. But the first thing we're going to look at is basic hip bump sweep. So pretty much one of the first ones we're going to learn, right? And one of the first things I teach will be the hip bump sweep. So my opponent's on top and closed guard here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to unwrap my legs, plant them on the floor. I'm going to climb up here. First to my knee, to my elbow, and all the way up onto my hand. This gives me much more leverage than everyone down here. Now I'm looking to come up, same as in the technical stand-up here. I come up off the ground and I'm using my left foot and my right hand coming across my body. My right leg drops to the floor, blocks the outside of his leg, because again, I don't want him posting and stopping himself from being swept. Right? So from here, I cover his shoulder with my armpit, I grab his elbow and pinch it tight to my body. Right? Now, this arm is mine, my hips now are glued to him. So I'm not trying to just pull him over. A lot of people I see going from here, I want to be tight to him here. So now when I drive, my body is connected. See, as I move, he moves. If I'm out here, there's much less movement going into him. So I go tight to his body, control the arm, and now I'm going to swing over this leg, driving off my back leg. I'm going to turn behind me and come on top. One more time. Here. Opponent's kneeling, controlling here. I'm going to sweep to the other side now. I unlock my guard, plant my feet on the floor. Come up to my elbow, reach past here, so my armpit is covering his shoulder. Come up into my hand. Drop my left foot here, my left knee down to the ground. Control the elbow, hips tight to his body here. Now I'm going to drive off my back leg, sweep over my leg, and come on top here. So that's my basic sweep from the closed guard. It's the hip bump sweep. Usually that's the only one I teach in the intro session, but we'll probably throw in a couple more in a second. Yeah, hip bump sweep from closed guard. You'll notice it takes you into that full mount position.